Welcome back, everybody. This Week in America, website thisweekinamerica.us. Thank you for joining us on the program. Back with us, Dr. Joe T.A. Nwokoye. He is a pastor. He was born in Nigeria, West Africa. He moved to Scotland in 1986. He's the founder and general overseer of Zion Praise Center International, Inc. churches, the president of Zion Foundation and Zion Bible Institute. He's a counselor and an international motivational speaker, an author, and he's back in the program to talk about his new book, Time Bombs Are Ticking in the UK. Watch out. Pastor Joe, welcome back to the program, sir. It's great to have you back with us.
Thank you very much, Rick. I'm so glad to be back on.
Pastor Joe was on a few months ago, and you can listen to that interview at iTunes. You can watch the video of the interview at YouTube. Just go to our website, thisweekinamerica.us, and link on the appropriate icons, and you'll be able to listen and to look at those interviews. The first book was God Will Do It For You, Don't Give Up, an inspirational story, the basic truth that God will do it if man can't. It was an interesting discussion, and you can find that at YouTube and on iTunes as well. You've got my attention with the title for the new book, Time Bombs Are Ticking in the UK. Watch out. Talk about the time bombs and why you really felt at this point, I need to write this book.
Thank you, Rick. I have been living in the United Kingdom for the past 29 years now, originally from Nigeria, as you know. And I watch even the political scene, the spiritual scene, what is happening in our government, what is happening in the schools, what is happening on the street, and what is happening in the world. And I realized that time bomb is actually ticking and nobody is saying anything about it. And just what happened recently, and the Spirit of God spoke to me to write this book.
The book is called Time Bombs Are Ticking in the UK. Our guest on the program is Dr. Joe T.A. Nwokoye. The book is available at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Lifeway.com, at all Christian bookstores, and you can get information directly at our website, thisweekinamerica.us. We're talking about time bombs ticking in the UK, but as I'm reading the book, this really applies to the awareness we need to have of this problem here in the United States as well, doesn't it?
Yes, it's globally. I mean, it's happening all over the world, but I kind of wanted to refer it to United Kingdom, where I'm based, where I know specifically from firsthand what is happening there. And if care is not taken, the time bombs will just be ticking from every angle of United Kingdom.
No, it's interesting because you point out that Satan is alive and well, and you're talking about we really need to be aware of what you call the slyness of Satan. We really need to be on top of things because things are not going in a positive direction, are they?
No, they're not. I mean, let's just take education, for instance, in United Kingdom, students. Now, because of the lawlessness, and I'll call it too much freedom, the teachers are even afraid to correct the students because of the repercussion, the reprisal from their parents or the government. So now the youth are kind of roaming around aimlessly like a time bomb. Just before I came, Rick, in a classroom, high school student, 14 years old student, the teacher in the class said to him, take away your cell phone. You don't need a cell phone on in the classroom. The teacher said it, repeated it 3 times. The boy refused to do that. So the teacher had no choice than to go and ask for the cell phone. The boy put a hand in his pocket and took a knife and stabbed the teacher right there. The man slumped in the classroom. Time bomb.
Yes, and that's the title of the book, Time Bombs Are Ticking in the U.S. Watch out. Dr. Joe T.A. Nwokoye, our guest on the program. He's been on before talking about his first book, God Will Do It For You, Don't Give Up, talking about this particular book now. In the book, in the dedication, you've dedicated the book to children of all races, both dead and alive, who have suffered in one way or another from child abuse. Talk about that problem, and then we'll get to a personal story as well. But talk about how you're seeing that. You work with parents, you work with children, have for 28, 29 years, 4 times a week. Talk about your experiences and what a problem this really is becoming.
It is. I don't know about probably the same thing in the United States, but in UK, due to lawlessness, parents. So there are some parents who they are young and they have children, of course. But just because of maybe one or two little things, the social services in our country just take the children away from their parents and put them into care. And now these young families, parents, are now suffering. Some of them get into drugs and depression because their little babies are taken away from them. And I see this happening all the time. And I said, how can this be? You're supposed to help them and encourage them to be able to manage the little kids that, I mean, nobody is taught how to be a parent. That's period. I have 4 children. I was never taught how to be a parent. You have to learn as you go on. But in this situation, we see that the government in UK makes even money from taking children from their parent and put them into a foster home. And those children are not trained. So they grow up spoiled and they become a nuisance to the society. And then it comes back to being a time bomb in the society.
The book is Time Bombs Are Ticking in the UK. Watch out. Our guest on This Week in America, back with us is Dr. Joe T.A. Nwokoye. You talk about ministerial confidentiality, and it's interesting with the perspective that you bring from, again, 28, 29 years of working in the front lines in this. Talk about juggling. When you think that there's a problem, what you're able to do and what you're not able to do.
Yeah, I mean, as a minister of the gospel, just like doctors do, medical doctors do, you got to have confidentiality
Yes.
in dealing with the people you counsel. But in this particular experience that is mentioned in the book, it was a sad experience because the young girl, lady, later died. I mean, she was being abused by her own father sexually in their home for years. And her mother knew it, but the mother never did anything. Finally, she left home. When she left home at 16 or so, somebody introduced her to our church. And we knew she had a lot of problems. She started taking drugs, smoking all kinds of things, injecting syringes into her body. And finally, she said, Pastor, I want to talk to you. I said, come. And then when she told me this, that it was her father, I said, I'm going to go to the police. She said, no. She begged me. I said, I have to go to the police. She said, if you do, I'll deny you. I'll say I never said that and that you are just fabricating the story. Then, of course, I said, okay, let me try and help her. And I didn't go to the police. And I said, okay, can I go and talk to your parents? He said, no. She said, no. But finally, to cut it short, it ended up in a sad way. Though she was coming to church, she became better and singing in the choir. Then all of a sudden, she left because of the kind of boyfriend she finally met. And the boyfriend reintroduced her into drugs and alcoholic. So she stopped coming to church completely. 2 years after that, I was in India preaching and I called the church to find out what is happening. And they told me there was a call from the hospital, the mental hospital, that she had committed suicide. And I thought, wow. So all this problem from home, being abused, was affecting this young lady. And she killed herself by committing suicide. That was a sad story. And I thought, if I had known, I would have gone to the police. Maybe that would have spared her life, but I was trying to, keep it confidential. But with what I know now, next time I know what to do better.
The key is arming yourself with information, and you can do that by reading the book, Time Bombs Are Ticking in the UK. You can link on and get information at our website, thisweekinamerica.us. Pastor, one of the chapters in the book is called, Is It Wrong to Discipline? And then there's discipline and what is punishment. Talk about that, because that's so important, because sometimes parents are confused and really need some guidance. Talk about what exactly is discipline.
Okay, let's look at it from the beginning. The Bible says that children are blessings from the Lord. So God is the author of children. He brought us as children into the world and he loves everybody. Now, then a good parent will love their children no matter what. Now, if you look into the scripture, God said in the Proverbs 22 says, it says, parent, train your children the way they should go when they are little, when they are young, so that when they grow up, they will not depart. Now, the word train doesn't mean that the children gets their way. Parents is supposed to know, and a good parent will not want to hurt or harm their children by punishing them. To discipline somebody is to say, well, don't do that again. This is what you're supposed to do, not what you've just done. But then when it's a little mistake from a child and the father is hitting the child or the mother is hitting the child with a serious sharp implement or any dangerous implement, that is punishment. But to tell a kid, don't do this, if you do it again, you're not going to go out to play. That is discipline. And when a father or a mother says that, you must keep to it. If you don't keep to it, you are not a good parent, because then your child will know that my father doesn't really mean what he says and my mother doesn't mean what she said. If you tell your child, if you do this again, you will not watch the TV, and he or she does it, you should stand by your word. That is discipline from punishing the child.
The book is called Time Bombs Are Ticking in the UK. Watch out. Our guest on This Week in America is Dr. Joe T.A. Nwokoye. Information at our website, thisweekinamerica.us. The book is available at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Lifeway.com, Christian bookstores all across the country. You talk about the problem in the UK, and it's discussed a lot as well here in the U.S., is abduction, assault, and we can put abuse in that category as well. You talk about how to protect your children from having these things happen. Give us a couple of things that we can do to protect our children. We're so concerned, and society is so open now. It's really difficult to protect our kids.
It is. It is difficult because, like I said, somebody who is an abuser doesn't wear it on their faces. The man could be well dressed and be a child molester. So it's not written on our faces. But what happens is that parents should know, if they know their kids properly, they'll tell the kids, if somebody says certain things to you, you should be able to confide in your parent. Like, I have 4 children. My daughter, our last baby, is 9 years old. We tell her, if a man touches you in a certain way, in class, in school, in a playground, let us know, let your parents know, because that's how it begins, like playful or something. Let us know. Don't just assume that, okay, it's just a joke in the playground. No. And then if the child has a good relationship with the parent, they'll be able to tell the parent. Now, some parents also, they think that they are loving their children, so they buy them a school bag. You think that's nothing. You buy a child a school bag. For instance, my daughter's name is Jessica. Now, if we buy a school bag and imprint her name on that bag, Jessica, so when she's going to school, somebody who wants to molest her can try to be friendly and say, hello, Jessica, how are you doing? Now, automatically, she knows that, oh, this person knows me.
Yes.
You see? So then, she'll be able to kind of be drawn to that person, and that person can take advantage of that. You see? So parents, we should watch out to that kind of thing. I'm not saying we shouldn't buy things for our children and print their name on it, but because of how wicked this world is now, we have to be very careful and have wisdom, because you don't know who is who.
You've got a couple of things that you mentioned there that are important for parents, no matter the circumstances. Please listen to your children, which sometimes is difficult to do because we're all running off in about 20 different directions at one time. And please hug your children. Neither of those things are going to cost any money and going to make a world of difference in their maturity. They're growing up.
That's right. I mean, parents, we have to. I mean, no matter how busy we are, we wake up in the morning, we drop them off at the childcare or school, and we go to work and come back late tired. But we must invest in our children, not necessarily money. To spend time with your kid, you know them, they can trust you, you can trust them. If you don't know them, then you wouldn't even know when they are telling you the truth. You wouldn't know when they are lying. They wouldn't know when you are lying. They wouldn't know when you are saying the truth. But if you listen to them as a parent, you can know. I know when my kids are lying or trying to cover up for what they did, because we spend time with them and we talk. We have to make up time, because it is an investment to spend time with your kid. No matter how busy a father or a mother is, there must be that time. Doesn't matter how little, to listen to them. For instance, say, tell me what happened in school today. Tell me. And you just listen. They might wander away sometimes as they're telling you something from classroom. They might get to the playground and get back to the lunch break. Just listen. because somehow you are getting something. Then you can ask a question. What did you say that person said? What did you say that person did? Then you are getting an information to be able to help you. Then the next day, you may not even tell your kid. You appear in school to talk to the teacher. That's what we do to be able to help them.
A few minutes left in the program. Always goes by too quickly. Our guest on the program is Dr. Joe T.A. Nwokoye. The book is called Time Bombs Are Ticking in the UK. Watch out. The book is available at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Lifeway.com, Christian bookstores, and information at our website, thisweekinamerica.us. You also talk in the book about one of the time bombs is religious persecution, and you talk about that from a very personal standpoint. Talk a little bit about that and the stand that you felt that you had to take and the retribution that really could have destroyed the family.
Yes. Yeah. It was so bad that something was happening, like my kids went to school, and from just because I had been interviewed somehow about the homosexual activity that was going on in the country at that time, and I gave my views that I love gay people, I love lesbian people as Jesus Christ did, as God did, but there are certain things I do not agree with that. I made it plain. But of course, some people didn't like it, and it was in the news. And of course, I went to Africa on a mission. When I came back, our kids were taken from school in few hours into a foster home. We were accused of hurting them by abusing them physically, and I thought, this can never be so. How impossible can this be? I thought it was a joke. But of course, it wasn't a joke, because finally I ended up in the police station, from there into the police cells for hours, in cell, for something that I did not do. And this is the tactics that the social services, even the police, do against the people. They intimidate young parents because they will not go to court. They will not want to pursue it. So some of them, they accept what they did not do, and their kids are taken away from them. But I was ready to go to court. Went to the children's panel, as it is in United Kingdom. And of course, finally, we insisted that the case must go to court. By this time, our children have been taken from us and placed into a foster home with lesbian couple. Now think about this, Rick. These children are black children. They've never been away from us, their parents, who are blacks. Then one day they went to school, and they were taken from their school, and they ended up in the home of two white ladies who were lesbian. The trauma was unbelievable on our kids. But finally, we went to court, and thank God, it took some time. After 4 months, we won the case. The judge gave us verdict, justice, and asked our children to be released immediately. And that was it. That was a great breakthrough for us.
The stories in the book, Time Bombs Are Ticking in the UK. Dr. Joe T.A. Nwokoye, our guest on the program. I'm going to take a couple minutes here because the topics are so important. The time bombs you discussed, we all sort of casually read in the newspaper. Now, I'm talking about a citizen of the U.S., not necessarily the U.K., but I'm sure it's the same way there. Are we guilty sometimes of not paying as much attention as we should to these? I mean, these are ticking time bombs, and we need to figure out a way to defuse them.
Yeah, true. The world is going through crisis right now. Both the terrorists, in that particular book, in one chapter, I explain about the just and unjust world.
Yes.
And the reason why I talked about it was living in UK. And coming from Nigeria, I see what the Muslim people do. I love them. I see what the terrorists do. And I believe that something got to be done. For instance, let's take Iraq for an example. Now, we went to war. I use we because living in UK as a British citizen, I'm part of it. We went to war in Iraq based on what we thought that Saddam Hussein had. Now, Tony Blair, our prime minister at that time, clearly, he knew what he was doing. He deceived the entire nation that this man had weapons of mass destruction. So, of course, all our MPs are like your senators there, they voted to go to war. Now, they went to war. Saddam Hussein finally did not have what he was being accused of. He was killed, rightly so. I don't like him, but he was killed. But you would think that after he was killed, the problem would have been solved. No, the problem increased. Now we have ISIS now in Iraq. That is worse than Saddam Hussein. Thousands of people are still dying. So that means the problem was not solved. So I wrote it in that book that every member of the parliament in Britain who voted for war has the blood in their hands. And I meant it, yes.
The book is Time Bombs Are Ticking in the UK. A chapter in the book as well, and I've got about 30 seconds left here. So many interesting things to talk about. Mr. Ebola, a curable disease. And the one thing you point out, which a lot of people were talking about towards the end of this this panic in the news media, is the fear that's in the news media. In fact, it wasn't that long ago you were in Nigeria. What was it like when you were there?
Well, I when Ebola came out, it was scary. Everybody was screaming.
Yes.
The press, the media. So I went to Nigeria, and when we got at the airport, oh my goodness, with security were there. We were taken to our side. We examined our breath, everything, and finally we went. On our way departing back to UK, the same thing was done. They asked, "Where did you go? Where have you been?" and other stuff. Now I thought, how can Ebola is not that dangerous? Because cancer, in my opinion, as a minister, is worse than Ebola. People are dying in UK. I don't know about America, in thousands every year from cancer.
Yes.
But Ebola is not doing that. And Ebola, for you to get Ebola, you must contact somebody who has Ebola. But cancer, you don't have to touch anybody to get it. If you have it, you got it. You see, so the news media just put that fear on people, and it just escalated instead of them to begin to deal with some important issues that is befalling nations. Then they were talking about Ebola issue. Now look at what's happening now. Nobody's talking about Ebola as such, but people are still dying of cancer in thousands. In UK, the latest statistic says that every 1 out of 2 people in UK will have cancer in their lifetime in UK. Is that not crisis? That's time bomb.
It certainly is. And there was the fundraising part of Ebola. I don't remember the statistics, but the number of hospitals, millions of dollars spent that are sitting idle because there's not the Ebola problem now. There's not the Ebola patient. There are so many interesting things in topics to be discussed in the book. Time Bombs Are Ticking in the UK. Watch out. You can pick up a copy at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Lifeway.com, Christian bookstores. Our guest on the program, the author, is Dr. Joe T.A. Nwokoye. And you can link on, get all the information at our website, thisweekinamerica.us. Pastor Joe, it is always a pleasure to have you on the program, back in the United States for a short period and checking back in with us, and I appreciate that. Let us know when you're back in the country again. It is always a pleasure and enlightening to have you on the program. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you so much, Rick. I'm always grateful, and I thank you for having me.
It is our pleasure. You're listening to This Week in America, website thisweekinamerica.us.